let's talk about. Is it my turn?
It is your turn.
All right, I'm gonna save that one for last. We'll get to that eventually. But let's jump over to the magical and mystical world of Stephen King for a second.
Ooh, Stephen King.
We're gonna discuss The Shining. Halloween just happened in the United States a couple days ago, or a week ago, whatever.
2 weeks ago. Oh, well, a week past Monday. So
About a little over a week ago, yeah. I just want to tell a brief story really quick about The Shining. So not only have I been to Colorado, Bill, but I have been to the hotel that Stephen King was inspired to write The Shining about. He wrote The Shining. I'm not forgive me. I'm pulling up my note feed here for my notes for a second for this one super quick, because in 2019 my family went out there to Estes Parks, Colorado. For those of you who know what I'm talking about or are Stephen King fans, you know what I'm talking about. But basically, Stephen King stayed at the hotel. There's a hotel called the Stanley Hotel, and if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But they didn't film it at where I was at. They filmed it in Oregon, several states over. But the cool thing about this was I got to see the Stanley Hotel with the inspiration for the book. I got to see the inside of it. I got to see like the certain rooms and stuff. I got to go under. They offer tours there and stuff like that too. It's pretty cool. So if you're out there, check it out. But I will say this too. They obviously filmed Dumb and Dumber out at the hotel too. And another thing I want to point out is apparently the room 217, the actual room that Stephen King stayed in, room 217, is booked year round, even by celebrities, to the point where Bob Dylan himself slept there for like a weekend when he was touring there. How crazy is that?
It's insane.
It's you might even say it has a shining to it.
Ooh,
bing. That was terrible. Anyways, but The Shining, a movie that I actually saw for the first time recently. I want to say year and a half ago, maybe. Truthfully, I saw it pretty recently for the first time ever, and I was taken back. That movie is frightening as can be. Here's Johnny, But as the reason why I do this podcast in the first place is because I have Bill with me. Bill, what did Stephen King not like about the Shining movie?
Yeah, well, before we get to that, I just want to say, you know what I think is even scarier than the Hughes Johnny part?
Oh, the Red Rum?
Well, that one. Also, when Jack Nicholson says, "I'm not gonna kill you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in."
Oh, yeah, that's actually really frightening, truthfully.
Like, you are watching this man go
like slow. And the movie itself, it's so slow, but so quietly, like just going about his business. He's the build up in the movie is great. But yeah, go on.
Because what's so great about this, though, is that I think what's so scary about it is that someone like Jack can actually exist.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Because he's just a man who goes crazy.
Yeah, he goes pretty crazy. Yeah.
And his performance as Jack Torrance is the most. Okay, King stated that Nicholson comes off as unhinged from the start. While in the book, Jack is a loving father, but highly flawed, and he's slowly driven mad. He feels that Jack Nicholson is ready to chop up his family like very early on. And instead of Torrance descending into madness, King Kubrick's version simply goes from crazy to murderously so. I could see that. It's just at the time, it's just, and he didn't like Jack Torrance because in the book he's a loving father, but in the movie he's just emotionally cold and he's already gone crazy. Well, in the book you see more him develop going, You see him more develop. And like first, like in the book, King's, a satisfying but bittersweet ending is Jack fights off his madness long enough to allow his family to escape. And then the overload explodes and he sacrifices himself. But in the film, Jack just simply freezes to death.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the reason why. Steve King did not like The Shining. Because it doesn't really show the progression like it does in the book.
So you're saying Stephen King didn't like it because it wasn't that true to the adaptation of the book itself?
Pretty much.
Well, to be fair, and to a filmmaking point of view and to an author point of view, I mean, there's going to be differences. You got to take certain liberties when you make a movie. I mean, like if you make let me just think of an example off the top of my head. Like if you were to do a movie, like the closest I've ever seen to an adaptation of a book to film adaptation that actually worked extremely well. I know Bill hasn't seen it, was Harry Potter. Like the last probably 4 or 5 movies were so on point. It was crazy. So that's just another side note. But so it can be done that way. But then again, J.K. Rowling actually wrote the screenplay for the movie and she wrote the book itself. So she did all that by herself. But this is Stephen King talking about who wrote a book, who had his inspiration for the book and all that stuff. And then here comes, I'm not sure what movie studio got it, but like here comes a movie studio saying, hey, Warner Brothers, hey, we're going to make a movie called The Shining based on your book. Is that okay with you? Yeah, sure, whatever. And they take certain liberties. No, the author's going to get pissed off. But at the same time, it's like the film is the film, the book is the book. And you're like, even, I hate to say these words, but Diary of a Wimpy Kid, they did that too. So it just depends on what type of medium you're looking at, truthfully. But we're talking about The Shining. And The Shining was a brilliant movie. And I will say, though, not only was it a brilliant movie, but as Bill was saying, though, but the book did differ. So the movie did differ from the book a little bit. And Stephen King was not too happy about that, was he?
No, I don't think Stephen King likes most of adaptations on his books.
I think he's happy to. Truthfully, I feel like Stephen King is a very happy guy. He's like, hey, yeah, you can use it. You can use The Shining. You use the property, and I get residual rights. I'll get like probably 5% of the profits or 10% of the profits, whatever it is, because it's my idea, it's my concept. You're making it into a different form, and I would like some of the profit. That makes sense. But this was, I feel like this is another example of just like a book to a movie that I feel like people forget that this was even a book.
Really?
Because up until tonight's discussion, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't realize The Shining was a book until I had to remind myself, oh, that's right, it was a book. It took me a little while. I was like, wait, I thought it was just a movie, but it turns out it was just a book, and then they made it into a movie. So, like Jaws, look at Jaws, same thing.
Yeah, and I think I told you, so we were talking about Jaws one time. Here's a little fun fact. The author, remember that scene when they're on the beach?
Yeah.
And the TV reporter's there? That's actually the author of the book.
You told me that, yep.
And all the people, we're on TV!
We're in the movie. It's so funny. But yeah, bottom line, The Shining, if you haven't seen the movie, check it out. It's really something really crazy, awesome.
Oh, it is really
awesome, but crazy. Let's be real. I mean, red rum. Yes. And by the way, just for those of you who live in the U.S., if you do travel to Colorado and Estes Park, it's about an hour outside of Denver, but there is a real life hotel called the Stanley Hotel, and it was where Stephen King stayed. And if you can good luck booking your room at the hotel, because it is a true what's the term? It is a true journey to go there. They offer tours and stuff like that, like I was saying, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool how they do that out there. So, but yeah, that's just me.